All right, let's dive right into this explainer and uncover the slightly startling reality of what actually happens when you yell at your cat. We have absolutely all been there, right? They casually knock a water glass off the counter, or they decide the side of your expensive couch is their brand new favorite scratching post for the 100th time. Let's be honest, half the time it kind of feels like they're the ones training us. But today, we're going to completely shift your paradigm on feline behavior. Because the way we humans communicate frustration is fundamentally incompatible with how cats actually perceive the world.
So you might think you're simply correcting them. You raise your voice, they scatter, and you think, okay, message received, don't scratch the couch. But we really need to look at why your cat is actually hearing something entirely different. They aren't hearing a correction at all. They're hearing a terrifying threat. And if you keep doing this, which honestly, so many well-meaning owners do, you might be quietly breaking something in your cat that doesn't come back easily.
Section 1. The sound of a predator. Let's start with the biological reality of your voice and explore what it actually sounds like to them on the receiving end. So 64,000. That is a massive number. It represents a cat's upper hearing range in hertz, which is literally almost 3 times that of a human. Ever wonder why your cat just bolts out of the room the second you raise your voice, even if you aren't yelling directly at them? Well, it completely comes down to their evolution.
Because their ears evolved to hear the incredibly faint, ultrasonic squeak of a tiny rodent moving through grass, your sudden raised voice in a quiet room is way more than just loud. It hits them like an overwhelming shockwave at close range. They simply weren't built to handle that kind of acoustic assault. So what feels like a perfectly reasonable, firm no to you registers as a massive, predatory explosion of sound to them.
And here's where the disconnect truly happens. As research from veterinary sources like PetMD points out, cats just don't understand punishment. Your cat does not connect your anger to the behavior they just did. They aren't thinking, right, I shouldn't have scratched that. Instead, they just learn that the person they live with, you, is suddenly a source of extreme danger. The behavior doesn't get corrected. Instead, the trust just gets damaged. Which brings us to Section 2, building the invisible wall. Let's see how this sudden danger slowly builds an invisible barrier between you and your pet.
Have you ever noticed your cat sitting across a room just kind of watching you but never actually coming closer? We love to chalk this up to a cat's independent personality, but veterinary behaviorists have a different term for it. They call it learned avoidance. It's what happens when your cat decides it's just safer to emotionally move out. They stop initiating those wonderful little interactions like head bumps or slow blinks. They still live in your house, sure, but they're actively protecting themselves from you.
Why does this happen? Because cats absolutely thrive on calm, predictable repetition to build trust. Every gentle voice and predictable moment tells them, you're safe here. Yelling introduces the exact opposite. They can't ask you if you had a bad day at work or if traffic was awful. All they know is that one minute everything was totally fine, and the next, the loudest thing in the room was pointed directly at them. The unpredictability of sudden yelling is literally the fastest way to destroy a feline bond.
Section 3. The body keeps the score. Now, this psychological stress, it doesn't just stay in their mind. It physically manifests in their bodies over time.
When your cat is repeatedly yelled at, their body pumps out a stress hormone called cortisol. Now, in small doses, cortisol is perfectly normal. It helps animals react to real danger. But when the stress doesn't stop and their environment never feels settled, that cortisol stays elevated. Their body essentially gets stuck in a permanent state of high alert.
And that chronic cortisol elevation actually leads to a physical breakdown in their health. You might start seeing subtle symptoms like a decreased appetite, over-grooming a single spot on their belly until the fur thins out, or suddenly avoiding the litter box. It can even lead to weakened immune function and incredibly painful urinary conditions like feline idiopathic cystitis, which vets can increasingly connect directly to emotional stress. The really tricky part is, owners will often change the diet or run a ton of vet tests, but treating those symptoms won't fix an emotionally unsafe home.
So let's talk about fixing it. Section 4, the reset that works. Let's transition into the solution and look at the behavioral reset that actually works without ever raising your voice. Because honestly, once you replace yelling with this, you'll wonder why you ever thought volume was the answer.
Here are 3 actionable shifts you can make right now. It starts with understanding that cats respond to their environment, not to punishment. If they jump on the counter, a louder no isn't the fix. The fix is making the counter less appealing and offering a much better alternative, like putting a really tall cat tree near a kitchen window. Solve the environment, and the problem literally solves itself without you having to say a single word.
The second shift is realizing just how incredibly responsive cats are to your vocal tone.
You absolutely don't have to stop talking to your cat. In fact, talking is fantastic for your bond. But it is all about how you sound. A low, slow, steady voice signals calm and safety and can easily redirect them. A sudden, sharp tone, on the other hand, triggers pure fear. It's the difference between gently guiding them and straight-up terrifying them.
And the crucial third shift, which, let's be honest, most people skip entirely, is actually rewarding the behavior you want. When they finally use that scratching post instead of the couch, that is your golden moment. Give them a treat, give them a slow blink, and a calm good in that low, steady voice. Positive reinforcement works infinitely better because cats will repeat behaviors that lead to good things far more reliably than they'll avoid punished ones.
Section 5. Rewriting their emotional memory. Finally, if you're taking in this explainer and maybe worrying about the damage you might have already done, just take a breath. Let's explore how cats actually process emotional memory so you can actively rebuild that trust.
Animal cognition researchers show us that cats just do not process memory the way we do. They don't replay specific conversations or hold grudges over that one Tuesday night you yelled about a broken glass. Instead, they hold on to emotional associations. They remember the spike of panic in their chest, the overwhelming sound, and exactly who it came from. Their brain categorizes you not as a threat in one singular moment, but as someone who is generally emotionally unpredictable.
But here is the amazing news. This system absolutely works both ways. The exact same emotional memory that records fear also records safety. By providing consistent evidence of safety, you can literally overwrite the old emotional record. Speak softly. Sit near them without demanding their attention. Let them come to you instead of constantly reaching for them. You aren't erasing the past, but you are building a much stronger foundation of trust right on top of it. They recalibrate when you give them the chance.
And this perfectly illustrates the core truth of our explainer today. Your cat isn't stubbornly holding a grudge against you. They're just surviving. They're simply waiting for consistent proof that they're safe in the present moment with you.
So, the absolutely crucial point to leave you with as we wrap up this explainer is this final question to reflect on. Every interaction, every tone of voice, every single moment you share, what record are you writing in your cat's emotional memory today? Because the pen is entirely in your hand. The next time you're home, I challenge you to quietly observe your cat's body language. You might be really surprised by what they're actively trying to tell you. Thanks for exploring this with me, and use this knowledge to go build an incredibly trusting bond with your cat.